Welcome to the Scandals of the Century. I'm your host Ivan, and we are giving today into one of the Asian's most intense financial breakdowns. The Asian financial crisis and how it rocked Singapore. In the 90s, Singapore was a picture of prosperity. GDP growth at 7.5%, and electronics made up a whopping of 60% of exports, but property prices shot up by 45% from 1993 back to 1996. Warming scenes started flashing, and let's explore what was really going on beneath the surface. Banks were pouring money into the economy, and household debt hit 65% of GDP. People were buying of properties, and the government started to worry. So let's get into the juicy details of how this led to one of the biggest economy shocks in recent history.
Thanks, Ivan. So here's the deal. Internally, Singapore's banks were drowning in debt thanks to the overheated real estate market. There was just too much speculation,
Yeah, I agree. I think also externally, the collapse of Thailand, I think it was 1997.
Yeah,
1997, yeah. It triggered panic across all Asia. And apart from that, by the end of the year, Singapore's stock market had plummeted about 30%. So this caused a lot of uncertainty in investors, and a lot of trust that they have on the economy went away.
Exactly, Alan. Singapore was heavily dependent on the exports. And with regional demand dying up, the economy saw drown drastically. To make things worse, property prices started to crash. Empathy banks and business across the board.
I think there was just too much speculation, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think the market was really about speculation, and there was not really a much of uncertainty in the market, and that provoked the whole Asian economy to collapse.
Yeah, they definitely did not expect it.
Yeah.
Now, talking about crisis development and the key factors that were among the most important stuff that happened during this whole time in which we had this economic depression, I think it's really important to talk about the government.
Yes, did you know that the actual government tried to intervene? But it wasn't easy. By 1998, the Singapore dollar had fallen by 20%, and the GDP growth sank to a mere 1.5%.
Really?
It was too much. The real estate sector was in shambles. It was a mess.
Yeah, I imagine trying to buy a house in these times. It would be
No.
so hard. I also heard that the government actually injected 2 billion of their local currency into the economy to try to stabilize things, because they try to coordinate with international entities or agencies. Then they try to introduce international measures in order to reduce the damage, putting just a band-aid on the injury. It was not really something to stabilize the economy. It was to detain a bit this depression that we were having.
Yeah.
Well, take a look at this chart. Unemployment shot up nearly 4%, and inflation was rising. The business was struggling to stay afloat, and banks tightened credit, causing credit crash.
Yeah, I think government took a big part on this whole situation, but I think that their efforts to try to stop the unavoidable depression was useless, because at the end of the day, economy did collapse, and most of the efforts were just trying to keep some investments and some of the banks calm, but we all knew the situation was going to get worse. So at the end of the day, it didn't really matter what the government was going to do. What really mattered was what they were doing before, and before they were just hoping that the economy wouldn't crash when it was just unbeatable,
Yeah, they were just expecting a miracle, I think. They were just trying to mitigate the effects of what was going to happen, but it didn't work.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Didn't we don't have a guest?
I think so. We can.
Yeah, we do. We decided to invite one of or well, one of our friends of the show, which is what turns to be a really good specialist on the topic on the Singapore crisis. So let's wrap up right now and let's go to the interview.
Yeah, let's hear him.
We're thrilled to have Juan Pablo Parra today with us as a renowned economic expert. Thank you, Juan Pablo, for joining us today.
Thank you, Alain. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Juan Pablo, talking about the topic in question, what do you think was the most important lesson that Singapore and other countries learned from the Asian financial crisis?
I think one of the most crucial lessons was the need for a stronger financial regulation. Singapore, along with other Asian economies, recognized the risk of excessive borrowing and the dangers of irregulated capital flows. They took steps to improve oversight, especially in banking practices and foreign exchange reserves.
So, what would you say like the most important changes like impact these? Well, I mean, how would you say that these changes impact like Singapore recovery?
The reforms were really transformative. Singapore emerged with a more diverse economy and improved resilience. They prioritized regulatory frameworks and shifted towards a model that could withstand global market volatility, helping them become a financial powerhouse in Asia.
Thank you, Juan Pablo.
Thank you.
Did you also know that Singapore didn't just like survive out of nowhere? They bounced back stronger. I think that by 2000 the economy was back on track, like a little bit, not all on track, but they were going stronger. And I think this was thanks to the robust reforms and the better financial oversight.
Yeah, I think after the crisis, Singapore specifically from other countries in Asia they've learned a lot from it and they decided to change their whole economic model. So instead of just being dependable on money like fiat money, they ended up like changing it to be one of the most resilient economies in Asia, and also one of the most economies that had like growth in the whole world, because Asia and the whole region of Asia and specifically Singapore, they have grown a lot in these times, like a lot.
Yeah.
Basically, they went from being on a negative growth to being positive and just over the skies. It's incredible what Singapore has done through the years.
Wrapping up things, it's amazing how Singapore took those lessons to the heart and become the hub of stability of the region. They transformed their economy and emerged from there ever before.
Yes, I agree with you.
Well, thank you for watching our program and see you on the next time.
Hi, I'm...
Stories.
Smiling.
Es que se apagó.
Wait.
Todavía. Aparte hay que poner bloopers, ¿no?